When you look at box office numbers, it's easy to just see them as a scoreboard, right? Who won, who lost. But there's so much more than that. They're actually a story. A story about what we're all watching, what we care about, and really where movies are heading. Today, we're going to dig into that story, hidden inside the numbers for January 2026.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll set the scene for the month. Then, we're going to look at the absolute monsters at the top of the charts. After that, we'll uncover some surprise hits that made some serious cash. Then, my favorite part, we'll dive into all the weird and wonderful stuff you find at the bottom. And finally, we'll pull it all together and figure out what it all means.
Okay, so to really get the story of January, you first gotta understand the lay of the land. What did the cinematic battlefield even look like at the start of the year?
So let me ask you, what do you think? If I asked you to name the biggest movies of the month, what comes to mind? Probably the huge sequels, right? Maybe some stuff left over from the holidays? Well, let's see what the numbers actually have to say.
And bam! Right away, the top of the chart tells a pretty clear story. At number 1, no surprise, Avatar: Fire and Ash, just pulling in an insane $134 million this month alone. Then you've got another sequel giant, Zootopia 2, with almost $70 million. And then, and this is interesting, you have a thriller called The Housemaid right on its heels with over $63 million.
Now let's zoom in on those heavyweights for a second, because the sheer scale of their success it's something else. These movies are truly in a league of their own. So if we expand out to the top 5, you get the full picture of what was dominating everyone's attention. You've got the 2 massive franchise sequels, that original thriller we just mentioned, a super buzzy A24 film, and a monster movie reboot. It's a really fascinating mix of old Hollywood and new Hollywood, all fighting for that top spot.
And this chart, wow. This just lays it all out, doesn't it? Just look at that gap. The top 2 films, Avatar and Zootopia, they're playing a completely different sport. I mean, the next 3 highest-grossing movies combined barely beat what Avatar did by itself. That's the raw, unfiltered power of a modern mega franchise right there.
But here's the thing. If we only look at those 2 giants, we are missing the real story here. Because just beyond the blockbusters, there were some other incredible success stories being written. See, this is where we have to shift our focus a little bit. The health of the entire movie industry isn't just measured by its biggest hits. It's also measured by these other films that managed to break through and find a huge audience.
And our prime example, our Exhibit A, has got to be The Housemaid. This isn't a sequel, it's not from a comic book, it's a thriller from Lionsgate that just grabbed the public's imagination and absolutely refused to let go.
I mean, look at that number. Almost $64 million in 1 month. That isn't just a big number, it's proof. It's proof that audiences are still dying for original stories that can go head-to-head with the biggest names out there.
And The Housemaid wasn't some kind of fluke either. Look at these other movies. A24 hit it big with Marty Supreme, Sony's Anaconda reboot, and Paramount's Primate also had fantastic showings. These films are that crucial middle class of cinema. They're profitable, they're often original, and they keep the whole industry healthy. They prove you don't need a $500 million budget to have a massive hit.
Okay, so we've seen the giants at the top and the moneymakers in the middle. But now for the really fun stuff. We gotta dig way down the chart to find the movies that give the box office its real personality.
And check this out, because you have 2 totally different, almost contradictory things happening at the exact same time. On one side, you have a brand new contender, Iron Lung, a horror film from the YouTuber Markiplier, pulling in over $14 million. And on the other side, a returning champion, The Lord of the Rings, a classic from decades ago, gets re-released and makes millions. The future and the past sharing the exact same multiplex.
So what even is a re-release? It's pretty simple, really. It's just when a studio brings an older movie back to theaters. And as we're seeing with Lord of the Rings, all 3 of them actually, it's a super powerful way to tap into that nostalgia and give people a chance to experience their favorite movies on the big screen all over again.
But the diversity goes even deeper than that. This is what people call the long tail. It's all these movies that make smaller amounts of money, but together they show just how incredibly broad the film landscape is. I mean, just take a second and read some of these titles from the January chart. Mr. Nobody Against Putin, Hundreds of Beavers, and my personal favorite, the absolutely spectacularly titled Killer Raccoons 2, Dark Christmas in the Dark. This right here is the beautiful, chaotic soul of cinema. It proves there's an audience for literally anything. So after all that, what does it all add up to? You take the blockbusters, the mid-budget hits, the nostalgic re-releases, and the totally bizarre indie films. What's the final score? What's the story these numbers are trying to tell us?
Well, the story is that the box office isn't just one single race. It's more like a complex ecosystem. You've got the fight for total domination at the very top, you've got a battle for profitability in the middle, and then you've got this amazing struggle for pure creative survival all the way at the bottom.
So let's just boil it down to 4 key takeaways from January. Number 1, yep, the mega franchises are still the undisputed kings of the hill. No question. 2, smart, original movies like The Housemaid can absolutely still break through and become huge hits. 3, nostalgia is money and re-releasing classic films works. And number 4, theatrical cinema is so much weirder and more vibrant and way more diverse than that top 10 list would ever let you believe.
Which kind of leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. We know the avatars of the world are the engines that power this whole industry. They pay the bills, they keep the lights on. But is the true creative soul of cinema living down in that long tail? Is it the hundreds of beavers and the killer raccoons of the world that keep film interesting and vital and actually moving forward? That's the question the numbers from January 2026 are practically screaming at us.